Hey guys, Will here. So on Saturday, I took place in the Porsche Esports Super Cup All-Stars Race, which was a race with a bunch of other well-known YouTubers in the sim racing space. Jimmy Broadbent was there, Dave Cam, Cyanide, a bunch of other well-known YouTubers as well. And it was a really stressful experience for me. Now, I've been pretty open with you guys over the last couple of years about my journey with anxiety and how it's affected many different areas of my life, from, you know, workplace, relationships, to my marriage, my relationship with my kids. And, you know, there isn't really an area of my life that anxiety hasn't touched. And I feel like, you know, given the fact that that race took place on World Mental Health Day as well, was pretty significant. And I didn't really have an opportunity to talk much about it on the day or do a video about Mental Health Day at the time. So I thought we'd go back now. I've had a bit of time to reflect on that whole experience and talk a little bit more about it with you guys. So the aim of today's video is to basically just share that experience with you guys, open up a little bit more about the journey and the, you know, the experience of doing that. And I'm really hoping that today's video might encourage some of you guys that might be suffering with anxiety as well to push yourselves outside of your comfort zone, try new things. And like, I mean, I'm talking every day to people that message me through our Discord community, you know, that are wanting to start up a YouTube channel. They're really wanting to start doing videos and just, you know, take things to the next level in that regard. But, you know, just feeling that social anxiety, feeling that anxiety and those boundaries between, you know, doing what they want to do and actually, you know, having the guts to put themselves out there. So this isn't going to be a scripted video or anything like that. I've got a couple of bullet points above the camera, so if I'm glancing up, that's the reason why. But yeah, just wanted to share the experience with you guys, and yeah, hopefully if it even just helps one person, then it's worthwhile making the video. So yeah, as I was saying, this is the furthest that I've pushed myself outside of my comfort zone for a very long time, since, you know, much bigger, more stressful things like having kids and stuff like that. So that might sound funny to quite a few people who might not have suffered with anxiety before, or maybe their anxiety manifests itself in different ways. But the thing that I struggle with most, the biggest trigger that I have for my anxiety, is lack of control. And, you know, that manifests itself as, you know, things like flying. I really struggle to get on a plane, simply because I'm not the one flying the plane. You know, any situation where I don't have control of what's going on is really difficult for me. And, you know, you guys that have been watching the channel for quite some time would know that the reason I actually got into sim racing in the first place was because I really struggled to enjoy taking my track cars out to the track, because, you know, just pushing myself outside of that comfort zone and pushing myself beyond my limits and exploring the limits of the car was something that was so stressful for me that I never really enjoyed the experience of doing it. So sim racing is something that I can sort of push myself, you know, and enjoy driving a car at the limit without that risk of, you know, hurting myself or, you know, causing damage that I can't afford to repair, and, you know, those kinds of things. So that was one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, why I got into sim racing in the first place. So it's pretty significant that, you know, this journey in the sim racing space has actually taken me to a place where I found myself pushing myself so far outside of my comfort zone again. And, you know, I never expected this channel to grow to the point where opportunities like that would present themselves. And I mean, I was driving around in practice yesterday, and I streamed the entire thing, including the practice sessions, just because I wanted to sort of capture that experience for you guys and share it with you. But, you know, just driving around on a track with all these other YouTubers who, you know, have been such a big influence and such a big inspiration to me over the last couple of years, you know, it was just incredible being a part of that, and just, you know, being invited to do something like that in the first place was just such a massive buzz. And the only way those opportunities will present themselves is if you do put yourself out there and you do sort of try new things. And, you know, while I do still suffer with social anxiety quite significantly, and I've said this to you guys before, you know, this channel has been such a massive help to me in, you know, in just pushing myself and feeling more comfortable talking to a camera. And I mean, I go back and look at my first few videos now that I did almost 6 years ago now, in fact. Yeah, it was 5.5 years ago now. And just how awkward I was on camera. And I still am awkward on camera. I still have these awkward little mannerisms. I play with my hands, I fidget, I talk too fast sometimes, I struggle with eye contact. And a lot of those things are down to my Asperger's syndrome as well, but mostly it's just the anxiety. And I do get criticized quite a lot for a lot of those mannerisms, but I can't, you know, I can't help who I am. I can't help the way I am. And so I just sort of embrace it and try to just do my thing. But yeah, just being in that environment with those other people, and, you know, just driving around, having the, you know, the Discord chat going and TeamSpeak chat and things like that, it was just such an incredible experience. And, the only way you're ever going to have those experiences for yourselves is if you do put yourselves out there, push yourselves beyond your limits. And as well as the biggest lesson that I've learned, just throughout this journey of doing videos on YouTube and having people actually watch them, is just don't be afraid to be yourself. I mean, one thing that I've heard recently, a good little quote, is your vibe attracts your tribe. And I've been saying this quite a bit in the Discord community recently, because it really is true. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people out there in the world that hate my personality, that can't stand my presentation style, think that my accent's annoying, whatever it is, think that I'm too, think that I'm arrogant, or that I drive aggressively on track, or that I'm not aggressive enough, or, there's always going to be people that just don't like you. And you can't worry yourself with those people. And I think that the experience through doing this event on Saturday as well has really reinforced that for me as well, because you guys were being so encouraging in the chat, and I was just so anxious, and I know a lot of the other guys were anxious as well. I've spoken to quite a few of them privately since the event, and all of them were, feeling pretty. I mean, all the guys that were, it was their first big event, which was the case for quite a few of us. They were really, really nervous about it, and it wasn't that we were, anxious about, being put on a stage in front of so many people or anything like that. It was like a performance anxiety thing, where we didn't want to embarrass ourselves in front of a large audience and, not perform to expectation. Now, I'm lucky in that regard, because I'm not generally considered to be one of the fastest sim racers out there. I don't, have that stigma about my videos. I'm more a reviewer and more just somebody who shares an experience with you guys. So it's only natural for them to sort of have that performance anxiety. Whereas for me, it was more just about not wanting to be so far behind everybody else that it was embarrassment or anything like that. And I had pretty good pace in practice. I actually spent a lot of time practicing. I think I probably spent a lot more time than anybody else did, to be honest with you. And my pace during those practice sessions that I did on my own before the main practice sessions that were broadcast and things like that were pretty good. I was on pace with the top 3 or 4 guys. I was doing, low 1 minute 50s by the end of it. And then literally the moment I hit go on my stream, I was 2 seconds a lap slower. And you guys would have seen throughout my practice session that I was just struggling. I couldn't get the consistency. And it wasn't that I was engaging and chatting with you guys and not paying attention. It was just that I was so anxious that I literally cramped up. I couldn't feel my legs properly. And so my muscle memory just was completely deleted. Everything felt completely different. Even my steering inputs felt numb. And it was like driving a completely different car from scratch. And that was just, my anxiety and getting the better of me. But there's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, as you've seen on Jimmy Broadbent's whiteboard, it's okay to make mistakes. And that is such a powerful and important message. Nobody is going to hate on you because you had an accident or you screwed something up. Unless you run into somebody else and take them out of the race through being reckless. Nobody's going to judge you for not. And I guess, no, it's not that nobody's going to judge you. Nobody worthwhile is going to judge you, right? You don't need to worry about the opinions of those few people on the internet that are always going to have something negative to say, because they're going to be there regardless of what you do. But, what's important is that you're entertaining your audience, you're being truthful, you're being true to yourself, I guess, and, just sharing your own experience. And, I'm really proud of myself for putting myself out there and having the guts to, despite my anxiety and despite how nervous I was feeling, put myself out there. And I had no idea how many people would be watching that stream, because obviously Porsche were broadcasting it on their own channels as well. I didn't know whether and they've got like a million subscribers on YouTube. So I didn't know whether it was going to be 30 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people. I just had no idea how many people were going to be watching me. And I had no way of knowing when I was driving either how many people were watching other than my own stream, which had 300 or 400 people watching at any given point in time, which was amazing for me. It's the most I've ever had on a stream. But yeah, so I had all those things going on in the back of my mind, and it really did make me drive pretty crappy. But, despite that, I was still pretty proud of getting through it, getting through the experience, and, just, I guess, learning from it. Now, one of the biggest learning experiences that I've had from it has just been going back and watching my stream as well as some of the other guys' streams as well, particularly Cyanide and Jimmy Broadbent's streams, who are obviously, masters of their craft. And just watching, Jimmy had a very similar race to me. He, had a very similar accident in turn 1 of the first race to what I had in the second race. And, you know, we both just had pretty bad luck throughout the racing. And, you know, my reaction to it was more a reaction of disappointment and, you know, I guess not self-pity, but I was disappointed in myself for making silly mistakes and, you know, basically taking myself out of the running when I knew I had the pace to probably be in the top, you know, 6 or 7 at least. Whereas watching Jimmy's stream back, you know, he was just enjoying himself. He was just having fun, and it genuinely didn't matter where he finished to him. And I think that, you know, I learned a lot just from watching that. You know, YouTube in particular is an entertainment platform primarily. People want to be entertained. They want to feel like they know you closely. They want to feel engaged with you. And, you know, they want to feel a part of the experience of what you're doing. And that's the most important thing. And I think if you can nail that, it really doesn't matter. You know, nothing else really matters more than that. So watching my own stream back and just sort of seeing how serious I was taking it, and I didn't intend to be. Like, I mean, this is nothing new to me, but just reflecting back on the video, you know, I was putting myself under so much pressure to perform that I ended up just sort of psyching myself out completely. And that was the reason why I didn't perform to the level that I could have, was simply because I pushed myself so hard. And it wasn't that I was expecting to finish in the top 3 or anything like that. It was just that I was so worked up and so nervous about not embarrassing myself by being so far off pace, even though I knew I wouldn't be. You know, I let that anxiety get the better of me. And the result was that, you know, I wasn't as engaging in the chat. I wasn't as, you know, fun to be around for you guys as I should have been. And my driving performance suffered from it as well. So there was definitely some lessons to be learned there. And I really hope that you guys can sort of learn from those lessons as well. And I guess, like I said, the most important thing is just put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. You know, honestly, if I can do it, anybody can do it, because doing these sorts of things is not easy for me. I struggle to go to a shopping center. I struggle to be around other people at the best of times. So, you know, and, you know, the reasons for that are just general social anxiety, you know, not wanting to be judged by other people, fear of lack of control, all the usual sorts of triggers for anxiety. So I think, you know, just if you can learn one thing from my experience, is that don't be afraid to be yourself. You know, your vibe attracts your tribe, like I said, and there's always going to be people out there that don't like you, and that's fine. They don't have to like you, and it doesn't reflect on you. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you, you know, if you're the most popular person in the world, it doesn't make you better than somebody who's, you know, not super popular. You know, Jimmy Broadbent isn't a better person than me. He's not a better person than any of you just because he's got lots of subscribers. And, you know, there's a lot of lessons that you can learn from, you know, the successful YouTubers, but it doesn't mean that they're better than you. And, you know, they're all really, at least in my experience, they're all really humble guys. But honestly, at the end of the day, like, it's funny because I know that a lot of people look up to this channel and look up to me, and like, it feels funny even saying that, but I know, because I get messages every day, that this channel has been an inspiration to a lot of you guys, and that feels really uncomfortable to me. And I'm sure that, you know, guys like Jimmy Broadbent that have got, you know, hundreds of thousands of subscribers feel exactly the same. They probably feel really awkward about, you know, the level of popularity that they have, and they probably wonder why. Just like I do. I mean, I think of myself as just a normal person like anybody else, and I'm sure that they do as well. So, yeah, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, guys. Like, if you feel the urge to share your experience, if you're the sort of person that, you know, loves making videos, loves sharing your creativity in that way, then just do it. And just thinking about this now, I think that Chris Hay is another really good example of this, because I remember when I first discovered his channel a couple of years ago now, I watched his videos and I really appreciated the creativity that he has and his unique style. But, you know, they're not necessarily my types of videos. I mean, I don't necessarily have an interest in watching artistic sim racing footage, because I'd rather be watching something technical, because that's just the way my mind works. I love to watch, you know, videos like Sim Racing Garage, the really deep technical reviews where I really learn something about a product or something like that. It's just my style. But, you know, watching Chris Hay's channel explode this year, you know, I think his channel is probably one of the fastest growing sim racing channels there is at the moment. And honestly, when I first discovered his channel, I wouldn't have expected that. And I don't mean that as a negative thing, Chris, if you're watching this. I'm a massive fan of your work. But, you know, the reason I'm talking about this is because, you know, he's somebody that's not afraid to express his creativity and just be himself in his videos and do the things that he wants to do the way he wants to do them. And just look at the way the channel's grown. And I think the reason for that is that people appreciate that he's just doing what he loves. And, you know, again, your vibe attracts your tribe. And that's exactly what's happening in that example. So, yeah, I really hope that this video has helped encourage some of you guys, you know, particularly around World Mental Health Day. You know, don't be ashamed of who you are. Don't be ashamed of what you might see as shortcomings, because other people will see them as strengths. And I think that there is so much power in doing your best to turn things around and doing your best to use the things that you think are weaknesses as strengths. And I mean, the biggest step in dealing with any sort of problem like anxiety is recognizing that you do have a problem and trying to do something about it. And whether that's going out and getting external help, and I'll put some links down in the description below to some resources for that kind of thing. But putting yourself out there and not being afraid to just be yourself. And, when you can do that, you're going to find yourself being so much happier, so much more content, and so much more confident within your own skin. And I think that's been the biggest thing in my journey so far with this channel, is just the level of, even though I'm still not necessarily a particularly self-confident person on the greater scheme of things, my confidence level is so much greater than it was when I started this journey. And I say this quite often in my videos, but I really do, and I'm feeling teary just thinking about it, but I appreciate the support that I have from you guys so much. Like, it really does just mean the world to me, because I wouldn't be able to do what I do without that support. And this is supporting I keep on saying because I'm rambling for my words, but I appreciate the support that you guys give me so much. And not only does it help me as a person, but it's now what's supporting my family. I've got my brother coming on as an employee in the next couple of days as well to help me out, which is a dream. It's a dream. Like, starting my own business, having it become a family business, having it being something that supports my family is just amazing. So thank you guys. I didn't expect to be tearing up in this video, but I just appreciate it so much. So thanks guys. Thanks for all the support. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.